Okay, so here we are on um, Tuesday 17th for the Marin Sonoma Hub that sometimes gets referred to as the Sonoma Marin Hub
Uh, well,
by
we're
the Sonoma people. So choose your way you want to phrase it. And Beans up in Northern California looks down on the Marin-Sonoma Southern, Southerners. So here we are, and I don't have any kind of agenda that I know anybody submitted, so maybe we might want to check in and see what we're doing.
yeah, because some of us have been going to other meetings like the Leaders Guild last time. Um, I
Yeah, I
told
missed that.
Anna I would tell her what I got out of it. Um,
Yeah, I'd like to hear
and
because I couldn't go the last time.
I could do that. And then we could talk more about the mapping thing that was presented.
Oops. Oh dear. We just lost
Kind
it.
of bad connection.
Yeah, we just froze. We you're not frozen anymore.
Could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So who else was at the last Leaders Guild?
Yeah, I
You
definitely went
didn't
to that.
go, Pat?
I couldn't make it.
Okay. Um, well, I took some notes, and one thing I got out of what Penny was trying to do in a resource part of the website was put some information of creating a knowledge commons by having first a front door story, which I think that's kind of what Pat wrote and Anna wrote, a story about where you're at and where you've been and where you're going.
Mhm.
And then having community and organizer offerings and a digital ecosystem and info commons and having an effective pro-social groups.
So community offerings, then what, Dina?
Um, information commons, and last would be to have effective pro-social groups. So somebody brought up that you don't necessarily want to share everything with everybody because sometimes there's a cultural or a biological reason why you can't, for example, say exactly where something is because it wouldn't be right to a tribe or to a certain plant community to have people know where it is. So it's okay to have some things private in an information commons.
That's somebody's opinion, though. Just remember.
Yes, yes, that is. But I can see where if you're trying to be culturally sensitive, that you need to respect that for other people. And then you would have so we broke into groups, and that was what one group talked about. And some other people went to another group where they were talking about more like systemic weaving. I didn't go to that group. I think Beans, you and I were in the same group. Hi, John.
Hi there, how you doing?
Hi, there you are.
I just thought I'd jump in on your call out of curiosity.
Oh, okay.
I lived in San Francisco, worked in Berkeley, and spent lots of time in Sonoma County and Mendocino. So I'm really interested in what you guys are up to.
Oh, wonderful.
Where are you now?
Uh, North of Oxford, in Britain, in England. We're actually right near the original Woodstock.
Is that in the Cotswold?
You've got the Woodstock 2, we've got Woodstock 1.
In the Cotswold?
Say what?
Is it in the
Yes,
Cotswold?
absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
I love that
Yeah.
area. I love that place.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so we're on the Thames River. So
Aha.
we're in the uplands. But we're looking at a much bigger region. So where the Thames begins, flows down into London, into the North Sea. And I also used to live in Denmark. So we're bringing in Scandinavia and Belgium and Holland as the North Sea bioregion. It's really, really quite something. It's quite big.
Ah, nice to have you here.
I'm interested with you guys though. How are you linking in with the San Francisco lot? And are you aware of, I think it's called Sonoma Creek Watershed. There's a group already doing watershed work in Sonoma, the Sonoma area. I assume you're aware of them.
I know about the Sonoma Ecology Center. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah. Are you combining with those guys?
Theoretically, we haven't gone over there and talked to anybody.
There are so many activities around the different watersheds in our
Yeah, it's
area.
incredible.
And we are still reaching out, identifying them and beginning just to find out what they need and what they're doing. So we've got a picture. We're not at a place yet where we're connecting with the watersheds, although it's very much we've talked with the people at the Laguna Foundation, which is the primary watershed effort, I think,
Yeah.
in the coming years to restore that whole Laguna area, which is a number of regions pouring into it. So that's
Do
the major one. That's
you go
really,
as far south as Sausalito?
pardon?
Do you go as far south as Sausalito, your region?
Yes, but
That's pretty much Marin, and that's in Marin, and that's where I am.
Ah,
And
right.
Anna and Dina are in Sonoma County.
Ah,
Beans is in Northern California.
right.
And I'm in Marin, I'm pretty much focused on my own watershed, the Lagunitas Creek watershed. And there's so much to connect with here that eventually I want to then start connecting with other watersheds in Marin.
Yeah.
But that's the plan.
'Cause, do you know the Matthew Turner, the boat in Sausalito?
Say that again. The what?
The Matthew Turner. It's a
Matthew,
ship
Matthew
in
Turner, that's his
Sausalito.
name?
It was built about 3 years ago.
Matthew Turner. Oh,
Yeah, an old friend of mine built that in Sausalito. I want to arrange that we all have an event where we sail out on the boat for a day and meet up, and it'll be fantastic.
is he somebody involved in the design school?
No, he's not, but we sailed to Hawaii years ago, and he's got that agenda, very much so. But it'd be a fantastic event for us all to go on.
But gee,
I think we
if
should
there's some
organize
way to
that
get in
next time.
touch with him, I'd like to do that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Send us a put it in the chat. Is
Yeah,
there's
well, they literally built it on the harbour front in Sausalito. I think they finished it about 3 years ago. So it was right on there for about 2 or 3 years they were building it. I'm surprised you didn't see it.
Sausalito. Okay.
Can you write the name of the boat or the project in the chat?
Anyway, I feel as though I'm disrupting your flow.
Oh, it's okay. I know about the Sonoma Ecology Center, but I didn't have it listed in a document I'm putting in. So you were very helpful. I popped it in now that you reminded me of them. But we're interested in what you're saying, the boat. But if you could write the name of it down in the chat, that would be helpful.
Yeah, we'll do.
And just so you're clear, John, we're really at the beginning stages of organizing. We're trying to grow our group. We have some people out that we're trying to bring in. Right now, we're very small and we're just talking to different key people in the counties. So, and Pat's doing some work. We're both, Dina, on the ground. It's a matter, we're at the beginning stage. We're not in the forming stage yet. I mean, the forming in terms of actually having a bioregional center. We're still
Well,
pulling together the pieces. We
think
are
some
a
of us-
little among ourselves,
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
right?
A mini hub.
But I
Pardon?
was going to say, some of us were, Beans, were you at, and Pat, were you at the Steve Melville's presentations the last few weeks, last night?
Which one?
Yeah, I'm not, but I'm not the one to talk to about that because my opinion is different from most people's.
Yeah. So, however, there's an opportunity to kind of leapfrog a little. So, for the way we're doing it, I'm interested the way you're at the beginning. The way we're doing it is we spend quite a lot of time establishing very strong relationships with local government, lots of community, lots of commercial. And so rather than building on a digital platform, we spent lots of time establishing over 18 months, 2 years, this network, very strong network on the ground. And it's only now we're beginning to look at how to do it otherwise. But I think there's a really important approach to take. A lot of these bioregions seem to me to be just jumping on the digital, on the machines, and creating a virtual bioregion, which of course isn't a bioregion.
Yeah.
So
I look at the idea of mapping as just having a visual of the information we collect in person or on the ground, as you said.
yeah,
Because yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff on the ground. And the problem here is tons of other groups and individuals are too. So the big question is weaving them together sometime later.
We were just starting our meeting and setting our agenda. So I want to weave you into that. If you have anything you want to add or come to us, we were talking.
I'll just sit here and listen.
Sure, great. Well, you're welcome, and I appreciate your ideas and connection. And maybe you can help us as we raise our questions. So Dina was talking about Dina and Pat and Johnny Beans have taken the leadership course from Joe. And I'm getting filled in, and we're looking at the key takeaways from that process. And I wonder, Pat and Johnny, if there's anything you want to add to what Dina's been saying.
Well, the Leaders Guild is taking in information, and come March, there will be some sort of leaders workshop or offering based on the discussion we've been having in the guild, is my sense of it.
I think this is part of what they're doing, is just doing these guild meetings to set up the workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's like. The new workshop after what we did last semester or last year, this past year with the bioregional learning centers, right?
Yeah.
The next thing we're doing.
Yeah. March will start more of a, I guess, a focused course. So that's basically the report. The group, I just remembered I was in a group with Beans last time, and Beans and some other people were really saying use social media to get out what you're doing and communicate with people because it's there and free. Did I sum that up correctly, Beans? Okay.
Well, down here in Marin, getting back to what John was saying, what I've been doing is contacting people to have really to connect, not virtually, but to connect, to be with each other and get a chance to talk to each other. And so I'm still looking for a cohort that I can plan with and do things with. And so I think I told Anna that the big thing coming up is in January, that I've been able to set up a Zoom meeting with Joe and Penny and Ken Boulay, who is the executive director of Turtle Island Restoration Network, which is Spawn here, which is the major steward on the watershed. And he's interested in talking to Joe and Penny to see if what he is and what he's doing can be sort of a model for other similar organizations to connect with the design school. When he's so taken up with his own what's on his plate, organizing basically support, monetary financial support for the projects. And so he's very interested in this whole design school fund, regeneration fund idea. And also he and I will be working. I shared what I know about the design school, what I've been doing with him before I even knew he was the executive director of Spawn. So we already have a connection that's friendship, and commonality of interest and on the watershed. We care about the watershed. We want to know about what we can do to steward the watershed. So that's one good thing that's happening. And the other good thing that's happening is as soon as there's some clear weather, Lou Zanardi, who is the rancher, the cattle rancher further down on the creek in the watershed, is going to invite me over to see his ranch. And what I hope to do with that is to really get some insight onto what it's like for cattle ranchers to live on the creek and to deal with the stewards who are concerned about the preservation and restoration of the watershed, the health of the watershed, and how we can all work together to with our focus on caring about the watershed. Because there is I guess you read about it up there in Sonoma, there's a divisive thing going on with the ranchers versus all the stewards of the watershed. And I'm really more interested in finding ways that people can overcome divisiveness and see what they have a common interest in, preserving the watershed. So anyway, that's kind of what's happening down here.
Yeah, great. Pat, there's maybe somebody else has a memory of the name. There's a wonderful process for how raising cattle can be used to restore the land. And there's a series of films about it that are really powerful that I've seen. And of course, I've forgotten the name of. I'll check in and
that would be really helpful.
Yeah, because actually they're necessary.
Yeah.
They're important. They're not just destructive, except for the way that we tend to corral them in one spot.
Yeah.
So if they're, it's a picture of, and the results are inspiring because not only was the land recovered in a profound way, because the hoofs and the the fecal material from the cattle just,
Yeah.
you know, help the soil. They were able to raise more cattle. It was more effective for them. It was a better process. So I'll get the name of that film for you.
What is really what is really helpful here for me is that, and when I pursued this project a couple of months ago, and I wrote about it, that Spawn was doing to help reduce the amount of stuff that runs off into the water and clouds water. What am I trying to say? I can't find the right term. But anyway, we're on Luzanardi's ranch. So here is a rancher that is working with Spawn on a project to take care of the watershed, the creek itself. So that's a hopeful sign. I want to get together with Lou and find out how many other ranchers he's in touch with, how I can talk to ranchers, that kind of thing. So
also, Pernuski Chatham, which is the group that I was familiar with over the decades. That's part of their task, is to restore the actual water, the ecology around the streams and so that cattle can be there without it running off. That comes because they've broken down the, what's necessary around the streams to protect them. So they've been doing this work for decades.
What's the name of it? What is it?
Pernuski Chatham, but that was Rick Kay, who was with us that time. Rick came
Can
and
you put it in a chat or send me an email or something? Because
so
And then the OAEC, the Occidental Arts and Ecology, where Anne went to visit, there's just been a story out about all this successful stream restoration around Occidental, where they use some trimmings from the woods, trying to make the area more fire safe, and built up the stream banks. And I belong to my local watershed council, and we want to do projects like that, but we have a different problem getting in. Most of the land here is privately owned, so you may or may not get an interested landowner that wants to.
This is where the Pernuski Chatham people come in, because that's what they've been doing, is connecting private owners and working. I mean, they've been doing that work for a long time and convincing people why it's important.
Yeah, there's a lot more land of people that need to be enlightened that it would be a good positive thing to restore the creeks that go through their land.
So
there is so much to do here on my own watershed. And I don't know if I'll ever get to a point where it goes beyond and I start connecting with other watersheds and building.
But that's okay.
Yeah, I know it is. It really is. It's okay.
You got to start where you are.
Yeah, I mean, when you listen to Brian Pupa talk, the number of years they were working before they got to this place, that it just takes time. So
yeah.
I just want to comment on all of this, that it's great that it takes time, but we don't have time. So we need to focus on things that we could do now, because if we follow everybody's example, we will waste another 20 years, another 30 years. I just want to point out, if people have been doing this work for 20 years and we're still in the same situation, we need to change how we do the work. And I'm not saying the on the ground work, because obviously there's only so many ways you can restore a stream, or only so many ways to correctly take care of your watershed. But our approach in attracting people, getting more projects done, in my opinion, we're just going to waste our time if we try to follow other people's models, when we've already seen that they're basically failures when it comes to the mass adoption of this idea. And I think we can all be realistic with ourselves to know that we need the mass adoption of this idea versus just us at a local level doing the work, which is also obviously the most important part for us. But
So
I think looking at other people's projects is basically a waste of time.
what would you have us do then, Beats? What do you,
I don't know. It's called Horizon 3 for a reason, brother, because it doesn't exist yet. Right? Like, and so the idea is to dream into something that doesn't exist, not dream into something that exists and hasn't actually caused real change in 20 years. That seems ineffective to me, right? Continually doing the same thing over and over that has not succeeded is not a strategy that I would employ myself
well,
in any portion of my life.
well,
So
wait a minute. When you hear the Brian Poopa talk, he's not talking about something that hasn't changed in 20 years. That they've got quite an organization. I don't understand what you're
yeah, I
saying.
don't know. You're impressed by an organization. I'm impressed by actual societal change. I can form an organization, get 1,000 people to follow me. But did it cause actual change? Are we now off of fossil fuels? Are we now on renewables? Have we convinced people about bioregionalism? Have we got them off consumerism? All of the things that are necessary before we could even do anything on a massive scale of regeneration is the
Okay.
societal change. So,
Okay,
okay, I'm done.
we were just, I'm just responding to you. I was just in this session, which was a more heart-based people really dealing with how they're feeling. And what finally came up is the moment we're in. Woman from the Netherlands that we've met talked about how things are falling apart there, literally. We're at a moment going into this next administration. The whole, and I'm watching globally, not just this country wobble like this, but there's a wobbling going on through the whole system. So we're facing the beginning, not the very beginning, it's been doing it for a long time, but the actual beginning of the collapse, the real collapse.
I don't want to look at it as a collapse. I want to look at it as a
Now, wait a minute though. Wait a minute. We still live within that system. We have tried in various ways to change the system to do what you're talking about, and it hasn't worked. What we're doing is something alternative and local that is hopefully going to build some resilience and some ability to
Survive.
tell a new story that can be the seeds of the next system. But you can't just suddenly expect it to. I'm just trying to make a distinction between what we're doing and the actual economic political system that we are living within, whether we like it or not. It's there. And we're going into a period of collapse, and whether we're going to make it out the other end or not is a question. But we're not, I'm hopeful that we can create some resilience and some local support and a change and a new story. But without the story, Beans, you're not going to have the consequences.
But the story you're telling is old and been tried. So we
Yeah,
need to
but
tell a new story.
I didn't
We
say
can't-
that. I didn't say that. I said it's a new story, but I don't have the pieces of that story yet. That's part of your job with us. What is the new story? What are we bringing people that will help them get through this very challenging moment? We're heading toward dystopia. Let's be honest about it. It's not going to be easy. Then I don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to fold out or how long it's going to take, but I know it's starting. I see it all over. It's not just here. So what is our new story? What is it? This is what I am. And for me, the indigenous past carries it carries the structure of that story in a lot of ways, but we can't just go back and do the old story because it's not. How do we take that and create a new story out of it that actually gives people hope and allows them to move forward? That's why I want to say, whoa, wait a minute. Because I've spent decades trying to make changes of the current system and it doesn't work. I mean, it hasn't changed, right? I've done all the things that I was taught you had to do that. So
So in that respect, the two of you are saying the same thing. So
yeah,
don't sound adversarial about it. Let's
no, but
do what we can. And Pat and I like to get our hands dirty. That makes us feel like we're building really close to home. And we're still trying to have conversations and learn through this bioregional stuff for light bulbs to go forward, and open to hearing all ideas of how to move to a new system. I know there's that saying, you can't get people to agree to a big change until you provide them with a new reality to look at. So it's really hard to see a big reality with everything we're facing, but we can see little tiny local realities. So at this present time in my life, that's the best I can offer people, is a little different local reality change while I'm waiting for enlightenment of how to get to the big one, or I'm waiting for things to crash so much we have no choice but to build differently.
well, it's not either or either. I
Yeah.
mean, they weave together. And I found that I've been thinking about Pat, not Pat, I think about you, Pat, but Matt, and what they're doing in Grayton, which is a small, it's a smaller, more localized activity, but it's restoring land, it's building community, which is just as important as the restoration of the land, the building of a different way of connecting. This is what Joe and Penny have been doing. That's what I saw today at that heart meeting that Penny ran, is a place to go with the most deeply challenging and personal issues and get support from a circle of people who understand what you're talking about. That's the community part, which we need. We can't go forward without it. And what we're seeing is everybody in their own silo, their own smaller communities, but not connecting. So how do we connect and build? How do we get that story out? And maybe that's my focus. I'm not arguing with you, Johnny. You and I feel you, but I'm also saying I understand that we don't have time, and yet if we don't build from the roots up, it will be another, it has to be a little different than what we've been doing in the past. That's what I'm saying. And it will come through my connection with you and with Pat and with Dina and with Matt and with whoever joins us. And I'm hoping in the new year that we can grow, because we really desperately need to do that. Does that make sense? I mean,
Can I make an observation though? The way we're in a position where we've got this valley, a bit like Sonoma Valley over here in the Upper Thames, and we're doing everything we can to bring, as Steve Melville so beautifully said, to bring all of the flows into coherence in the region. Now, that's within the boundary of the watershed, and we're going for energy sovereignty, food sovereignty, everything. We're all sorts of stuff. Really exciting. However, that's only one scale, and it's hyper local. In itself, whilst it optimizes the hyperlocal region, it doesn't address a much bigger problem, which in Northern Europe, we've had wars here, world wars, only 60 years ago. Now, if you look at a map of Northern Europe, you've got Holland, Belgium, Britain, Germany, Scandinavia, everybody cut off from each other. And if you look at that map, all you see is separation, and division over a long period of time. So there's a bigger narrative that we're trying to address here, which is to drop all of those divisions in order to be able to unify the region at that scale. We're using the North Sea as the means by which to do it. And therefore, the map that we're producing actually has no text on it, no political boundaries on it, nothing. And when you show that to somebody from Northern Europe, they almost don't know what to say, because it's such a wonderful challenge to their expectation as to where they live. And all of a sudden, they don't see any boundaries. And they see themselves in Denmark, just up the road from somebody in Belgium, without a political boundary at all. If we don't have those two scales working together at the biggest unifying scale, as well as the smaller unifying scale, pretty much what you guys are working at, I don't think it can achieve what you said, Johnny, which is to ramp it up and to accelerate it. Because everybody would just be working in small little, they're watersheds and they're bioregions, you can look at them like that, but they're still siloed in themselves. They're not like Steve calls them hollands, where every little watershed then is a boundary edge to the next scale up. And there's that interrelationality between the regions and the scales that then unifies and incentivizes everybody around. And for me, we can't achieve the bigger scale and speed it up if we don't have the bigger narrative. But if we don't have the smaller one either, nothing gets achieved. So it has to be done at both levels. That's what we're seeing.
John, how have you, what is the larger narrative? How are you putting that forward? Because that's a big question I'm carrying. What does that narrative, what does the story look like? If you were to just
it almost isn't about, the narrative is almost an aggregate of all of the tiny little identities that exist within that region. So we're trying to challenge everybody's self-perception. And how do you relate to everybody around you, to the region in which you live? What's your understanding of what your own history is, where you think you come from, and all the mythologies that we all live by, that actually, if you go into archaeogenetics in Northern Europe, we all come from the Ural steppes in Russia 5,000 years ago. If you look at it like that, all of a sudden, everybody it's just a mix, and all of these hierarchies just disappear and dissolve.
Right. Have you connected? Excuse me.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
No, go ahead. Finish.
Well, I was going to say, what I find a lot of when what we're trying to do is not even necessarily in a bioregion. I keep looking at it, we're not trying to push on a solution onto something. A lot of times what we're trying to do in the bioregion is dismantle stuff in the way. And then the region itself can actually take care of itself. It's not quite that easy, but there's a dismantling process as much as the building up. And if one doesn't dismantle the stuff that's in the way, it's as big a problem as seeking to just push solutions onto things.
What just popped up for me, have you been connected at all with DM? with Varoufakis's work?
With who?
Because it seems to me that Yanis Varoufakis, the Greek guy, is also bringing
Oh, the
this
Greek fella. Yeah, yeah,
larger. Are you, do you
yeah.
see,
I'm familiar.
do you see a connection?
Yes, I do. Yeah, but
Okay.
I'm interested where you guys have got your small little areas, but you're not relating yet to that bigger context, and I think it'll help you drive that
Just
narrative.
north of us, there is Regenerate Cascadia, which is further down the road. It goes all the way up into Canada, comes
Yeah.
down into Oregon,
Yeah,
and actually Northern California in places, and we can connect there going south to the bay. So there can be a larger connection between those two regions. We're looking at the watershed. We're connected with, not directly, but sharing information with the beginning efforts to do the whole, the delta, which draws the whole inner California river system down into the bay. So it's forming, it isn't, and I can't see it yet going east, you know. I don't have that, except that we've got a lot of work happening in Toronto and the Great Lakes. And then people who are at our stage in various areas like Colorado and New Mexico, where Johnny's going to be going. So it's, I don't know if that answers your question.
Johnny, can I ask what's your position on the bigger narrative?
On the what?
The bigger narrative. I'm interested what Johnny thinks about the what it needs to be.
I don't know how well my microphone works, but I have nothing wrong with scaling because obviously I work connecting people on the local level with small grants. Pat will tell you. I preach working at a local level. I pick up trash. I organize community events every month. I plant a community garden. So working at a local level, I don't know if anyone thinks that I'm against that, but I am more pro than that than most people. A bigger scale, of course. We need a bigger scale. The scale of a bioregion is too small. I agree with you there to a point. Bioregions are still, like you said, siloed. And the reality is, like, if you're in America, basically it should be all Americans working together to improve all watersheds because, I'm moving to New Mexico. I'll have Will in the Ogallala next to me on one side. I'll have another dude in the Southwest next to me. There'll be the Southern California group. So, I mean, there's a whole group of people that are working on a larger scale in multiple bioregions where we've already agreed to come together to build together and help each other across the bioregions. So the bigger narrative to me, I don't have any answer to what my opinion is. I have a completely different idea than most people. I'm not worried about collapse. I don't think we're going into collapse. I agree that we've hit a tipping point. I think if you think we're going into collapse, you're just overly concerned right now when we still have time to do other things to think that it will collapse to the point where society might get bad. I don't think that's going to happen. Of course, I live in a completely different world than everybody else here. So my opinion's coming from the people that I deal with directly every day. And they're all more positive on the future than most people in the design school. I find the design school in general to be depressing, as far as the general, the world's gonna end. I mean, I've seen people say that they're concerned that people are gonna come to their doors with guns at some point. I don't know where people get these ideas. So I don't know. I think I come from a totally different spot. I have a totally different opinion. If I were to say my complete feelings, I think most people would think that I'm nuts, and so I hold back. But yeah, I'm not concerned. Yeah, I think I'm not really good to add to this conversation. I'm literally here to work on my AI database thing with these guys, and I'm gonna be gone, so I hope they expand the bioregion. But yeah, I don't know what their plan is because their plan is not my plan, right? Like we have complete, like even if you look at us, we're in completely different stages of our lives. So like there's no way our plans could even be the same or our ideas of what the future would look like would even be the same because Anna's future and Dina's future and Pat's future and my future all take place at let's say different times even like just because of the way time marches forward. So like my future I'm planning 30, 40 years ahead of time. You know, I don't know if everyone else is planning that far ahead, right? So like I'm probably more optimistic because my reality is that I'm gonna outlast whatever this next nightmare is for sure, and I'll be on to whatever the next thing is after. So I mean, that's where there's a problem with me in the design school in general, where I see that there's a lot of older people working on a different time scale, and I'm slightly younger. I'm no spring chicken, but I definitely have like a long time to look ahead and do all of my planning on a different scale. So I'm far more optimistic than most people. I do agree though, like we've hit tipping points. Maybe we're in some, I don't know. I don't want to say collapse because collapse is too, you know. I mean, do you
Fatalistic.
still have power? Does your toilet still flush? Are you still watching TV streaming? Is AI still being developed? Do you still have unlimited food at the grocery store? I want to say that life is freaking great right now. And yeah, there are some things that suck economically, and the incoming president might have an anti-environmental agenda, and maybe none of us here voted for him. But I still don't see that being a big negative. I see it as being a positive because it's a catalyst to get all these other people hopefully on board, right? Maybe they will start seeing that like, oh, macaroni, maybe we made a bad choice, or and then we can harness people's energy against the incoming situation, right? Redirect it, kind of like
Yeah.
that one guy said in his Ikenomics presentation. I don't know if anyone watched the Aikido based economics presentation that somebody gave, but you know, instead of trying to fight against what's coming, let's redirect the energy of what's coming and work with it, right? And so for me, I've only been studying revolution in the last year because as I see what's coming up, I see what's needed is far more than standard structure. It's far more than like legislative needs. It's far more than laying in front of a bulldozer by yourself to prevent someone from taking a tree down, right? It's all of that on a million times scale, right? And like and it needs to happen now and not 20 years from now, not 30 years from now. Sure, I want to plan for 30 years from now so that whatever I'm doing now will benefit 7 generations forward. But I still have to think about like it has to happen now because if all of you are concerned about tipping points and you're and we're all correct on the science of tipping points, then we don't have time. We just don't have time to try to legislate our way out. For me, it's literally like I'm moving to New Mexico so I could be on the front line. Direct action is what I believe is necessary. Real revolution on the ground, people building a real alternative. I agree 100%, Anna and Dina and Pat, that like you should be building your community resilience like I'm doing out here, right? Building the community garden, providing food security, trying to get people on microgrids so they have power security. Because, like I say, I live 3 miles up a mountain and the power goes down there, power goes down in the valley behind me. And I don't even know because I have Starlink, I have solar power, I'm self sufficient, right? Like it doesn't, there's resilience being off grid to a point, you know, which I think a lot of people, when you're in the suburbs, it's harder to realize that you can be self-sufficient because it's not something that people demonstrate often, right? It's like the fringe guy down the street has a permaculture garden in his yard. He's the weirdo. The reality is that, like, I want to say there was a thing called World War II, and we all grew 40% of our food at home, right? The government mandated that we grew food at home. The government can do that again if they really want to make change. So to think that, like, I don't know. For me, I see the scale. We need humongous scale, and we're not going to get humongous scale. Like I agree with you, John. Like limiting ourselves to our bioregion and not expanding out beyond. But like Dina mentioned earlier, I really promote the use of social media to put your message out to the entire world. So like I would love to see that like River Thames hub or whatever your hub ends up, your European hub is that like collects all of those people. Like what kind of media outreach are you doing? What do you guys have for a website? What do you have for like connecting with people that are younger, right? Because like we can't connect with the people that are, we need to
Right.
connect obviously with the older people because they are the ones that know everything, right? Like I don't want to discount experience, wisdom, years of experience, but we need to absorb that, and then people that are my generation and younger need to like remix it, right, into something that makes sense to the younger generation, because a lot of
Absolutely.
the stuff doesn't make any sense to us, and even though it makes sense to you guys, it could be just a messaging thing, it could be just how it's presented kind of thing. But my curiosity is always like, what are you guys doing to get the message out beyond your bioregion when we have like an unlimited amount of tools these days that are free? And everyone says we need money, we need money, we need money. But like I say, YouTube videos are free. Instagram is free. TikTok is free. Twitter is free. And if you want to know where things gain momentum and how culture shifts, it has to do a lot with social media these days and less with mass media. So
Absolutely, because I've got the downstairs, I've got grandsons and a son, and everybody's on this all the time. This is where they're living. It's one of the ways they're coping with the current reality. So I totally hear you, Beans. I hear you, Johnny.
so then my question becomes, you have access to the people that we need to get a hold of. So how can we use your familial connection, right? Because I don't have any younger relatives, right? I got my brother, and then he has like a little 5-year-old or whatever. Um, but like I have no connection to people that are teenagers.
Yeah, I
I know
am.
what they need, but like I don't know how to connect. So how can we connect your teenagers slash millennials slash whatever generations are below you? I know you've got a few of them, few generations going there. How can we absorb their knowledge or the way they want to absorb knowledge? Like, how
That's
can
a
we
great
effectively
question.
communicate with them?
That's the question I've been asking myself personally, because I've not been able to really even share this work with them verbally. It's just grandma going, you know. So how do we do that? How do you bring the story in a way that I've got 11 grandchildren over a double marriage that are between the ages of 18 and 25 right now. How can I communicate? And I don't have that answer. So this is what you're bringing is so important.
So my
How do
question
you,
is, aren't they all mountain bikers?
not all of them.
Well, but a majority of them. I mean, I looked at, there's like a Ferrari's worth of
I've
bicycles
got
there.
4 that are, my downstairs family is.
I just feel like there's a natural lean towards environmentalism-iness when you're a mountain biker. I mountain bike
Yes.
as a regular habit. So you think at some point there just needs to be a way to connect their mountain biking to bioregionalism, right? Like,
Right.
and how to do that doesn't seem that hard. I feel like all you really need is a guy on YouTube who does mountain biking and also talks about the bioregion while he's riding mountain bikes. I watch mountain biking YouTube all of the time, and I love listening to the guy who's riding his bike talk about where he is and the trees and the forest. And they usually end up talking about like the quality of the dirt. Obviously, it's mountain biking, but I mean, it should be really easy to connect people who love the outdoors, especially mountain bikers who spend their time in the forest, on trails, right? Maintaining trails. That's the other thing about mountain bikers. Just like hunters, there's a lot of mountain biking charities that do good work and promote like trail building and responsible trail usage. So how do we
Absolutely.
connect with those people? Because clearly that's where younger people are.
So
So
can you make that film with yourself and your mountain bike?
I just I at some point I run out of time with things that I've like committed to, because like I got to put out YouTube videos. I got to
But how do we do that is what I'm
well
saying.
that's you got to like yes, I could. The problem is like where I live right now, I'm on the side of a mountain. So me riding a mountain bike around here is mainly just me really breathing hard.
I know. So, but I'm just saying, do you know anybody? That's a beautiful connection. I'm with you on it. Uh, I can't.
It's your
I'm,
relatives, right? They're out there
yeah,
all the time.
but making the film and making the connection isn't what's happening. So, um, There's a very good question. I appreciate it. Put it out there. It's important. And we'll hold it going forward. But that's a way to tell
See,
how to tell the story to the younger generation and to different aspects of
right.
it.
So on that point, Johnny, you were saying about, and you said about accessing the younger generation. So that's exactly our concern about the demographic. It always seems to be lots of older people have more time and more capacity to. So we decided there's an organization called Dark Matter Labs in central London.
What?
And we went to them and we said, look, we're going to we're at the Upper Thames. Central London is at the Lower Thames. We want to bring the whole of London City into our bioregion. Now, think about the mess and the complexities and the absolute shock and disruption that's possible on the back of inviting Central London to join the bioregion. But for me, the outcomes can be absolutely fantastic. We have no idea what they're going to be, and we're going to start that process in February. How Central London functions in the context of what's quite a comfortable model for bioregioning currently in the design school. We just want to blow the whole thing open. And all the younger kids, and London's a very young city with lots of immigrants, all those young kids are going to turn around and completely reinterpret what we think it is. And for me, that's what's incredibly exciting about it. We can't control it, but we can create the conditions around in order to enable a whole new sector to come in on it. It's really exciting stuff.
I will say I'm jealous of anybody that lives near a city, since I no longer live near San Francisco and don't have the ability to do the outreach that I think is possible with simple forms of communication about bioregionalism to younger
Yeah,
people, especially like in the
yeah,
center of London. You can really like push for street level work, street level advertising, like
yeah.
as in like find a graffiti guy that will go put up a mural about it, right? Like there's a million polls. I mean, I used to be a graffiti guy, so like viral marketing was my specialty. And like you just put the message out everywhere you can where you're not supposed to, and it eventually just catches on. And so it's really about, I want to say, like, think about traditional marketing. How many times do you see the message over and over and over and over again? It becomes ingrained in your mind. And that's the same thing with graffiti culture that I learned, was that like you might see the same name written over and over again, but at some point you recognize that name because of repetition, right? And so when you're in somewhere like central London or any big city where you have like an unlimited place, a limited amount of walls to put things on. And I'm not even saying don't go spray paint things, go print out a flyer. My original idea, which I have yet to execute, which I want to do, is post bioregionally appropriate seed packets on like light poles, right? And make a little information thing on the light pole, like, please take some free seeds, and then maybe that seed packet will have some information about your bioregion and you could grow it in your backyard. And my thought about that is that like there's a lot of people that I know that are like New York, San Francisco, they have kids, they grow stuff in their backyards. So if you can start giving them free seeds, which obviously minimal cost output on our end as far as like what does a seed cost if you give somebody like a 5 or a 10 pack of seeds, it's basically almost no cost. Um, but then in the end, maybe it could inspire more action on their end, right? Like they plant a seed with their kid,
Oh
they
no.
plant the seeds themselves. In San
Oh,
Francisco,
come
I
on.
always tell people the one lesson I've learned in San Francisco, there's a guy named SF in Bloom. He's a guy that all he does is he goes around with a salt and pepper shaker full of wildflower seeds that are appropriate to California, and he shakes the wildflower seeds in the public spaces in San Francisco. And then what he did was he decided to recruit people, and he just takes other people from like Instagram or other social media. They arrange a meetup and he hands out seeds to everybody, and they go around shaking seeds around while he teaches them about plants in their local area. And that's obviously goes viral on Instagram and that kind of stuff where you get hundreds of thousands or a million views. And then you could see other people in other cities that are like copying his idea. So I'm very jealous if you have access to, oh, he's gone. We lost John Wayne in the middle of my rant. Anyway, can I shut up now? I'm tired of talking. Geez.
Yeah, okay, but it's important because I think as hard as this conversation is in some ways for us, it's a critical one.
And I did take some notes of everybody's gems that they uttered. And I'm going to need to leave. We've been at this over an hour. And I just wanted to say, like, even talking about seeds, beans, reminds me of the article someone shared with me and I shared with all of you in some kind of publication called Resilience that said successful projects are ground up projects. And there was a woman that did this amazing seed project in her neighborhood in one of the little stories. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was worth a read. Anna read it.
If
I
you
think,
sent it to me recently, I read it. It was the one with 13 stories. Was it that one?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I have to go, and I appreciate all of you. And
Before you go, are we having a meeting in 2 weeks or?
no, we're having holidays.
Okay.
So I think we decided the next meeting was
that'll be New Year's Eve. Yeah.
yeah. So it has to be in January, which would be the 14th.
Or the 7th.
The 7th is the Bioregional Leadership Guild, so we're doing it every other week with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
the 14th.
yeah,
I have just one quick thing to add is that I'm in touch with Samantha Powers. She's connected to Joe and Penny. Beans know who she is. She has got a whole look at her website, and it's quite a few younger people who are raising money for all of this. So I'm going to do a dive into Samantha's work and what she's doing. And she's the person that OAEC said I should connect with. So I don't know, Beans, Johnny Beans, do you know where she is located?
Yeah, she's right in Marin, Sonoma. She hosts
Yeah,
fireside
that's-
chats. She might be in San Francisco, like living in San Francisco, but her and Tyler Wakefield live near each other, I believe. And I think what you'll find is that the design school leans older. The bioregional financing movement leans way younger.
Way
Like you'll
younger,
find most people in the bioregional financing movement are 40s, 30s, and 20s.
right? I saw that. I
And
saw the
it's really
picture.
interesting to me that Joe and Penny have not been able to like absorb these people in yet, because like obviously we're all kind of doing the same work in the same general area. But what's
She
keeping
said that
this younger group of people out? That's my question.
yeah, she said that they were connected, that
No,
they're
they're
told,
connected, but when you see how many people are in the bioregional financing meetings that are doing bioregional work but aren't in the design
right?
school, it blows my mind. That's why I always say there's so many young people doing this work that you guys don't see that are in the crypto space. Like a lot, like Samantha
Yeah.
Powers and all of these people, they're very heavily tied in the crypto space. So I see all of the younger people that are working on the financing facilities, but I don't see them coming into the design school. So like into the meetings, right? Like I don't see them at the meetings with Joe and
well,
Penny.
it takes up a heck of a lot of time to go to
Right.
meetings and stuff, and
Everybody's too
they're
busy.
still
Yeah.
all the young people I know. So yeah. Anyways, I'm organizing a movie screening in January. So that's
Where,
taking up a lot of my time right now.
where and when is that? Are we all invited?
Yes, I'll send it all to you guys. But I have to go.
Well, do we have any
Have
more to
fun.
do today, or are we all going, or
Pardon?
do we have any more to discuss today, or are we all going, or because it's already 20 of, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'll
Yeah.
say goodbye and good to see you all. And I'll see you soon.
Have
Yeah.
fun, Dina.
Bye-bye, Dina.
Bye, Dina.
Okay, so real quick update since I didn't really do an update on what I'm doing. I'm working on the AI. The AI concern from the last Bioregional Leaders Guild meeting was that the AI would run off of nuclear power, and the nuclear power is directly poisoning rivers, which obviously is not true because nuclear power plants are poisoning rivers, and that's just the government not enforcing regulations, not necessarily the AI specifically, because other things run off of it. But like I made this point earlier, here's my AI laptop that I'm working on. So whereas before I was trying to run the AI off of an Amazon web server, I decided that in the name of being super bioregionally appropriate and solar punk, that we would run the AI server off of solar power in the middle of the woods. So the next meeting in January, I would love if you guys could try out the AI for me. And the AI will be set up here in the middle of the woods. You can ask it questions. We can see how it answers them. Anna, I found there's a lot of stuff going on with AI that I think like people don't understand. Like a lot of people think AI uses a lot of power, whereas like I say, AI runs on my laptop. Um, so it's really just using solar. So I was able to find an AI model that is specifically trained to be like a research assistant. So it definitely gives a lot better answers than even the last one. Um, One problem is that it's humongous. It's a really, really, really large AI model. So for me to run it on my laptop requires like a lot of horsepower, which is perfectly fine. Um, so what I'm probably going to do between now and maybe the next meeting is I'm going to build an AI server completely from scratch so we could host our own AI server for the design school and for ourselves and see how that works out for everybody. I also figured a way to take the research assistant AI that's already programmed, take the information that Dina gave me from the spreadsheet about like local organizations doing the work. And before the AI would answer a question, it will reference all of the other work that we've added. So it will have its learning in the background, like, you know, like its own college education. And then it will also have the information that we decide to feed it. So when it's feeding you an answer, before, if you were to say, ask for an organization that's local to you, it could reference our list of organizations that we put together, even though it's also referencing the larger model that it trained itself on. So it will just give more, relevant answers to your specific bioregion. And it's also a way for us to influence its answers. The more information we can give it specific to to the bioregions that it wouldn't learn on its own, like what are solar punk businesses, or maybe something about the OAEC. It'll know basics, but whatever extra information we feed it will help it make decisions and output answers. So on that front, we're doing good on the AI. I feel pretty accomplished there. It will answer our questions right now pretty accurately. And yeah, so now it's just a matter of getting it so that you guys can use it from a website. Because right now it's running on my laptop, and in the future it could run off my laptop, but I want people to be able to go to a website and ask it a question, and my laptop might answer the question, but it will be running here in the middle of the woods. So when people complain about, the power consumption, well, it's 100% solar powered, renewable, blah, blah, blah. All of my solar panels are recycled solar panels that I got used, and my battery system is recycled and I built it myself. So, you know,
By
it
the
does.
way, do you want some solar panels that need to have half-life? I think my son's putting up some new ones.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
if you have extra solar panels, it just depends on what voltage they are and what amperage they are, but don't throw them away, that's for sure. And I'll definitely collect any free solar panels, that's for sure.
Okay. All right, great.
Yeah, that stuff is important. Right now, everyone complains about how much, waste there is from making solar and all of the mining and stuff. And, I'm trying to reuse as much as possible. So.
Yeah, good.
Anyway, so before the next meeting, I will send you all a link to test the AI server out. And then you can ask it some questions, blah, blah, blah. And you'll know that it will not be running on nuclear power. It will be running on the power of the sunshine in the forest. So anyway, that's it. That's all I've got. That's the last of my updates. I had a regional meeting trying to introduce people to bioregionalism. Only one person showed up. So that was fine. They had their kids with them and they said they'll be at the next meeting, so I'm feeling okay about that. And Pat, whenever you get a chance to finish your grant application,
Yeah,
we just 4 times our budget.
okay,
So instead of $10,000 a month, we're at $40,000 a month budget.
okay.
So we have way more room to supply money to people doing local work. So like I said, if you know anybody that's doing on the work ground, Anna, let me know. We can direct them to get some grant money that has no hoops to jump through, basically. So anyway, that's it. That's all my updates. How's everything else on both of your ends? You guys feeling good personally? Good holidays so far?
Challenging. It's okay. But I got to expect that it's, all is well. If all is not really bad, then it's a good day. It's all stuff I can deal with, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pat,
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good here. So, does anyone have anything else to share?
Pat, I'm looking at something where we can all come together. That would be
Mhm.
good. I'd like to know, Johnny, when you're going to be down, or when, just keep us
I
surprised.
have financial responsibilities I need to take care of, and it might be a good time for me to like go to civilization again briefly, even though like I just went, but at the same time, like sometimes you actually have to go to a bank and you have to talk to real humans to do things. And so
Really?
I've been running into that lately, where like people are like, you need to go, I need your info from a bank. And I'm like, I can't help you. So I do need to go to civilization. And so definitely if, I don't know when Dina's planning her movie showing, but if it's, reasonably,
Yes,
do you know,
I
Anna,
can-
when that is?
yeah, I'll give you a date. It's the 19th.
Okay, there's the possibility, depending on how the weather is, that I could shoot down there on the 19th. I mean, I don't have to check a calendar because I know I don't have anything going on.
Yeah, it's a month
But
from now.
if it's snowing, my only thing is after Thanksgiving is when it starts snowing up here. So the chances of me getting stuck increases as time goes by up until April, and then it's finally clear again from being snowed in. So I'm down though to go down there on the 19th and maybe schedule something for the 18th or a meetup on the 20th or earlier on the 19th. Or do you know what time of day is it, Anna?
Mhm. What? I
What time
don't
of
know.
day is the
It's
movie?
probably the evening. I don't have it down.
Okay, well we can make a day of it, Pat, if you have time on the 19th.
Is that in January?
Yeah.
I'll have to take a look. But I have to go. So if you guys want to continue to
No,
talk,
but
I can
we're
make
done.
you Anna the co-host so I can sign out.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just keep talking forever if you let me. So just tell me to
So
shut up and we go move
good
on.
holidays to both of you.
Yeah. So we'll see each other then on the 14th, I guess, right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
too.
and then we can discuss the 19th on the 14th.
Yeah, that'll be
All right,
all right.
dear. I'll talk to you, Pat, between now and then. All right.
Okay. Take care.
Yeah.
See you, babe.
Bye-bye.